Ever wondered what happens when cinema meets real magic? From ancient rituals to dark sorcery, these 7 films didn't just imagine the occult, they brought it to life. Prepare to dive into the twisted, eerie world where magic isn't just a fantasy, it's terrifyingly real. The occult and cinema have always shared an intimate, shadowy bond. Where better to project the unseen than on a glowing screen in a darkened room? For over a century, film has been the perfect medium for magic, the symbolic, the hidden, the transformative. But while many movies reduce the occult to spooky set dressing or cheap scares, a rare few take it seriously. They dare to explore the mystical as something real, demanding, and dangerous. These films don't just entertain, they initiate. In this journey, we'll explore 5 essential occult films that plunge deep into the mysteries, films where ritual has weight, symbols matter, and the pursuit of power or truth comes at a steep cost. Some of these are quiet and meditative, others are brutal and jarring, but each one has earned its place in the cinematic grimier. Let's begin with a small film that punches far above its weight, A Dark Psalm. Released in 2016, this Irish-British indie is one of the most accurate depictions of ceremonial magic ever captured on film. There's no jump-scare horror here, no ancient evils lurking behind creaky doors. Instead, we get something far more disturbing, spiritual sincerity. The story follows a grieving mother and a washed-up occultist as they attempt the Abramelin operation, a real-life ritual pulled from medieval texts, designed to invoke the holy guardian angel. It's long, grueling, and full of spiritual risk. The film doesn't flinch from that difficulty. We see months of physical preparation, dietary restriction, mental breakdowns, and emotional outbursts. Director Liam Gavin forces the audience to sit with the characters, to feel the passage of time, the wear of repetition, the isolation. By the end, the supernatural emerges not as a twist, but as a culmination, earned, devastating, and numinous. Magic here is portrayed not as fantasy, but as metaphysical work, real, raw, and costly. Jumping to a much more high-profile, and deeply misunderstood, film, Eyes Wide Shut. Stanley Kubrick's final opus, and perhaps his most cryptic. On the surface, it's an erotic thriller. Dig deeper, and you find a psychological labyrinth of power, secrecy, and ritual. Tom Cruise plays Djar. Bill Harford, a man whose life spirals into paranoia and spiritual disorientation after he stumbles into the hidden world of an elite occult gathering. The now iconic masked ritual is one of the most unsettling scenes in mainstream cinema, slow, cold, and disturbingly elegant. But it's not just about sex. Kubrick laces the film with esoteric symbolism, the masks, the mirrors, the use of specific colors and lighting. The orgy sequence is modeled on real occult rituals, with the choreography of the celebrants echoing Masonic and Rosicrucian rites. The red-cloaked figure, a high priest, the slow Latin chant, a reversed Romanian mass. And beyond the aesthetics, Kubrick suggests a world where the elite wield secret knowledge, where ritual is real, and the price for breaking its codes is silence, or worse. Eyes Wide Shut isn't just a film, it's a warning. Now let's turn towards something more brutal. Kill List begins like a gritty British crime drama. 2 ex-soldiers turned hitmen take on a mysterious job involving a list of targets. But with each kill, the world around them warps, morally, emotionally, and eventually spiritually. By the 3rd act, we've left crime cinema behind and entered full-blown occult horror. A cult in animal masks, a ritual hunt, a final confrontation beneath the earth, ending in a sacrificial tragedy that feels both mythic and intimate. Director Ben Wheatley keeps things ambiguous, but the signs are all there: pagan motifs, labyrinthine tunnels, fertility rites, and masked initiations. The film's genius lies in its slow transformation. You don't realize you've walked into a ritual until it's too late. The result is one of the most chilling modern interpretations of folk magic on film, where ritual is not just pageantry, but a system of belief capable of shaping fate. It's The Wicker Man by way of nihilism. Next, a film that took horror cinema by storm, Hereditary, by Ari Aster. While often described as a grief drama or family tragedy, Hereditary is, at its heart, a film about demonology. Specifically, the transfer of occult power through bloodlines. Toni Collette gives a harrowing performance as Annie, a woman unraveling after her mother's death, but it soon becomes clear that the grandmother wasn't just eccentric. She was a practicing magician, occultist, and the target of her rituals was her own family. The demon Paimon, a real entity in Goetic grimoires like the Lesser Key of Solomon, is introduced subtly, through symbols, names, and background details. The miniature sculptures, the language in the books, the triangle with the 3 heads. Director Astor weaves these occult threads slowly, until the final act erupts in full-blown ritual revelation. Decapitations, chanting, and a literal crowning of the new host for Paimon. What makes Hereditary terrifying isn't just the supernatural, it's the inevitability. The idea that your fate was sealed before you were born by others' spiritual contracts. And finally, The Witch, a film so committed to authenticity that it feels like a historical document summoned through cinema. Director Robert Eggers used 17th century language, costume, and even construction methods to build a film about religious hysteria and supernatural dread. But unlike typical witch hunt stories, The Witch doesn't question whether magic is real. It shows us that it is, and it's terrifying, liberating, and deeply feminine. The story follows a Puritan family exiled to the edge of the forest, where isolation and paranoia gradually consume them. But the forest is not empty. Something watches, something ancient. From the black goat Black Phillip to the whispered promise of living deliciously, every frame evokes folklore and fear. Eggers drew directly from trial transcripts and historical records, crafting a narrative where witchcraft is not metaphor, it's lived reality. The final scene, where Thomasin surrenders to the coven and floats skyward, isn't just horror, it's transcendence, rebirth through shadow. These 5 films form a new occult canon, not just because they feature rituals, demons, or secret cults, but because they understand something deeper. Magic is transformation. It's terrifying, yes, but it's also sacred. Whether the goal is enlightenment, power, or escape, each of these films shows that the journey into the occult is one way. You don't return unchanged. And if all this has stirred something in you, curiosity, unease, maybe even recognition, then you might be ready to take your own first step. Because real magic isn't just for movies. At Magick, my online school for magic, meditation, and mysticism, you can begin exploring the esoteric for yourself. We offer full courses on chaos magic, sigils, astral projection, ceremonial rites, and so much more. All taught in clear, step-by-step video lessons. No vague mystery, just real tools for real transformation. So if you've ever wanted to turn theory into practice, symbolism into skill, story into initiation, now's the time. Head to Magick, and begin your journey. The circle is open. The path awaits. And hey, if you've enjoyed this occult cinema deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. We've got more strange, beautiful, and dangerous films to explore soon. Until then, trust nothing, except your will.